For the course COMPS 313F. In this week, it comes to tutorial 3 now. And as usual, the tutorial file, the tutorial 3 is already uploaded and released in the OLE under the Handouts tab. Okay, you can see in this tutorial, we also provide you a zip file, which corresponding to the task that we are going to achieve. Okay. Once you open the zip file, you can see there are 2 documents or 2 files which is included in it. Okay. One is the documentation, and the other one is the corresponding package file. And then maybe first we have a look on the documentation. Basically, in this week, we are also going to develop a native Android application. Due to the project creation time, firstly, we can start the Android Studio and create the corresponding project first. Okay. 咁都係啦，由於時間關係，咁所以我哋開咗個 project 先，跟住再睇下入邊嘅內容啦，得唔得啊？I think if you follow the instruction that demonstrate in the previous tutorial, you are capable to create a new Android Studio project. Okay, from start a new Android Studio project command first, and then select, for example, an empty activity template corresponding to phone and tablet. Okay, it is what we have already do 2 times in previous 2 tutorial. OK， 咁一如以往我哋都係用翻之前講過嘅一啲 approach 啦，去 create 翻一個 Android Studio 嘅一個 project 嘅。OK，and then next， in this config your project dialog, you can simply provide the project name as you like. Okay. For example, web view intent. Actually, as its name, we are going to create an Android application by using the intent component. As discussed in just yesterday, I already named this component to you, or introduced the idea of using this component. That means whenever you would like to perform or launching a new activity, then intent should be used for this purpose. OK， 咁我哋尋日啱都介紹咗關於 intent 呢一樣嘢嚇，即係 in case 你係有即係留意嚇咁嗰個 PowerPoint 入邊嘅內容啦，咁你都會知道個 intent 個目的啦，個作用喺邊度。咁就係話當我哋要去做一個新嘅 activity， 咁想彈出個 screen 度有唔同嘅 task operation 俾個 user 做 interaction 嘅話啦，咁我哋就要用 intent 呢一樣嘢，得唔得啊？咁睇翻我哋今次譬如documentation 啦，又或者啱啱開呢一個project 嘅名啦，咁你都會見到我哋係想做一個即係 application 係有多一個 screen 嘅 ，OK 得唔得？咁所以咧，我哋就會用 intent。咁陣間亦都會同大家去交代下，咁我哋點樣去即係 launch 到，同埋點樣去做 communication 咧 ？OK，during the implementation demonstration, I would like to show you about how to use this so-called intent component in order to allow you to launch a new activity program, and also to enable or support the data communication between 2 activities. For example, if I would like to send a data from activity A to activity B, then how to achieve it? Through this tutorial, I would like to provide you these kinds of implementation information. Okay. And then same as before. Okay. We can provide a package name like this. Okay. And then the language is Java. Okay, that is the setting for the tutorial that I would like to illustrate in this week. Okay, after that, you simply click finished, and then the corresponding project will be created to you. Okay, as I mentioned, or as previously, in this computer, it may take some time to finish the project creation. Therefore, I just create it, and then I will go back to the tutorial documentation and to provide you a preview or a brief introduction about what we are going to implement in this tutorial 3. Okay. 好啦，咁由於即係佢都要啲時間去 create，咁所以我就擺低咗佢先啦。咁create 由佢喺後邊 be create 啦，下一個 project。咁我就翻去個 document 度，咁我哋可以睇睇我哋今個禮拜即係 suppose 即係想做嘅一個效果，呢個 example 係啲乜嘢嚟啦 ？OK， basically， as illustrated through this name. It includes 2 components for this tutorial. The first one is the web view, and the other one is the intent. Just before, I already discussed about why the idea about using intent. Okay, therefore, in this example, you may come across with the process about creating more than one activity program. That is one of the idea I would like to illustrate here. And then the second one is the web view. Just would like to show you another UI component that's also illustrated in this week lecture. Okay. Just before, I already illustrated that there are different kinds of UI components. For example, button. Okay. Text view, image view, complex component, for example, adapter views, that is, for example, a spinner, list view, and so on. Together with these kinds of UI widgets, I also include some miscellaneous component, for example, the date picker, and so on. One of them is web view. Okay, that is the one I just would like to attach here to provide you another example that include a view component called web view. Okay, for this web view, as its name, it just would enable you to display a specified web page. That means in this example, you will the user should provide an URL to the application, and then the application will get your URL provided and then open the corresponding website through this web view. Okay, that is the idea for this example. 嗱，咁我哋就啱啱即係呢個禮拜嘅 lecture 啦，咁就交代咗 intent 之餘啦，仲交代咗一系列嘅 UI component。當然我就唔會逐個 UI 有個 demo 咁唔可能啦，太多啦，係咪咁所以我就即係喺入邊啦，咁抽咗譬如呢個 web view 啦，咁去俾大家睇一睇咁當然最基本嗰啲咩 edit text text view button 咁嗰啲喺之前個 tutorial 都交代過啦，係嘛？咁今個禮拜咧，我哋交代下呢個叫 web view 嘅東西俾大家睇睇咁當然即係我哋喺即係呢一個course 入邊咧，咁亦都應該都仲會有一個嘅 tutorial 可以介紹一個adapter view 俾大家睇睇嘅咁呢啲就往後見到我再同大家介紹。OK 咁呢個 web view 咧，睇個名，顧名思義就係用嚟 display 一個 page 用噶啦即係一個你當 一個application 入邊，咁就有一個 in-app browser 嘅概念啦，咁就去幫你 display 一啲 page information，就 instead of 你 extra 或者係 external 開一個 browser 去睇一個 page 咁樣嘅，得唔得？咁佢嘅目的個作用就係咁咯，就係喺翻同一個Android application 入邊啦，咁就唔需要額外開個 browser 去睇一啲 page，咁喺翻個 application 入邊就自己有一個 view 嘅 component 可以 access 到一啲嘅page 去 display 翻一啲嘅 information， 得唔得？咁呢個就係想喺呢個禮拜介紹嘅一個 example。Okay, actually, the role of the web view is simply like a in-app browser. Basically, once you would like to surf on the internet, you can, of course, use the built-in browser within your Android device. But if you would like to access the page just within the same application, then the web view can help you to achieve this purpose. Okay, that means without creating or launching another application, for example, browser, you are also be able to open a web page within your application. Okay, it provides a better user experience once he or she just would like to get information from a page, and then he do not have to swap between the browser and your application. OK， 咁當然佢嘅好處咁就係話你唔需要再開多個 browser， 咁swap 兩個 application。OK， 咁一個 application 入邊可以睇到啲 page 嘅 information， 咁再用埋其他嘢咁樣咯。Basically, this application simply consists of 3 screens. That means we have to create totally 3 activity programs, including the default one. Okay. Maybe I simply show you about the operation of this example. As I find that maybe the APK file attached seems have a little bit problem. Therefore, I created in my computer, and then I of course will attach a normal one afterwards. OK， 咁啱啱試過個 APK 唔知點解好似有啲奇奇怪怪咁樣。當我行呢個 online 嘅 emulator， 咁所以咧我就即係用咗第二個頂住檔先嚇。咁當然遲啲我會再 update 翻嗰個 file， 咁即係擺翻一個正常用得到嘅一個 APK 上翻個 OLE 嗰度OK， 咁我而家先喺度 demonstrate 嗰個即係 APK 俾大家睇先啦。OK， in this application you can see that the default activity program simply consists of a button and a text view. Okay, the button label is click to launch another activity. That means once you click on this button, another activity will be launched. Okay, and then the message within the text view is it is a splash screen. Okay, that means if you would like to have a first or default screen in order to show the basic information of your application or a particular icon for this application, you can use this idea. Okay, and the first page for this implementation is what we call splash screen. Okay， 嗱咁咩叫 splash screen 咧？咁樣個概念就好簡單啫。咁我諗大家都用過好多唔同嘅 app 噶啦。咁正常譬如佢有第一個版面係 show 翻個 app 嘅資訊啊、公司嘅資料啊，甚至乎個 icon 啊，或者係一啲即係背景嘅 image 啊咁樣嚇。咁呢啲咧我哋叫做 splash screen 嘅。呢個 terms 嚟嘅啫，好簡單個概念嚇。總言之，第一個畫面去介紹翻你個 app whatever， 俾啲資訊你嘅，咁我哋叫 splash screen。咁純粹俾翻個名大家知道啦。OK，and then after you click on this button, it comes to the second screen. Okay, in this screen, you can see that there is a text view labeled with input URL, and then followed with a edit text. It provides you an area for entering a URL. Okay, after the user provides the URL, for example, HTTP, and the user can click on the button, View Web Page. Okay, that is the idea of the second screen. Provide an activity program that support user input. Based on the user input, the user can open the third screen to view the web page. Okay, after the URL has been completed, then click on this View Web Page button. Okay, lastly, it is the third screen, just include or declare by a web view component. And then this web view component will have to display the corresponding web page. Okay, that is the third screen. You can see that for this example, through the demonstration, as mentioned before, there are totally 3 screens. The first one is what we call the splash screen, okay, the default page. The second one is for the user to input the URL. And then the third one, that is the one presenting in this emulator, is an activity program that includes a web view component. Through the use of the web view, the web page can be displayed. OK， 嗱咁頭先啱啱 demonstrate 咗成個操作啦，係咪嚇？咁我哋就 based on 即係呢個 application， 咁會有3個 screen 啦。咁一個就係 splash screen， 就係你當第一個畫面嚇。咁跟住咧過咗落第二個畫面嘅時候咧，咁就會俾到你可以入一個嘅 URL， 跟住再撳咧就去到第3個畫面，就係 show 個 page。咁點樣 show 到個 page 咧？就係 through 個 web view 啦，得唔得 ？OK， 成個操作就係咁，就都當然啦，即係又係啦，即係成個interaction 啊，咁啲 logic 啊都唔複雜嘅嚇。不過即係都起碼俾到個概念，大家知道，喂，咁我要做一個 multi-screen 嘅一個 application 可以點樣做咧？係嘛？咁 display 一個 website 又可以點樣做咧？咁就係想有呢2方面嘅資訊俾翻大家啦。OK。Therefore, after you have completed this tutorial, you are able to create different screens for different purpose. Okay, the first one or the default one, we always name it as the splash screen. Okay, and then we can also use the we would like to show you that how to launch another activity through the use of intents and also support data communication. As you can see that in the emulator, the URL you provide here will be sent from this activity to the third screen. Okay. Otherwise, this third screen will not have any idea about the URL for display. Therefore, the launching from this second screen to this third screen support or include the mechanism of data communication. That means sending the user input URL from the second one to the third screen. OK， 嗱咁呢度你會見到，除咗就咁 launch 一個 activity 之外啦，咁由第2個畫面跳入第3個畫面嘅時候咧，係有一個 data communication 喺度，就係我哋會做一個單向嘅資訊嘅一個傳輸，由第2個畫面將你入嘅嗰個 URL 啦， 咁就 send 去第3嗰個畫面，佢接收翻再 show 翻或者 load 翻個 page 出嚟嘅，得唔得？如果唔係嘅話咧，咁你第3個 screen 你冇收到個 URL 或者收唔到 URL， 咁佢唔知 display 啲咩啊，係嘛？唔知 load 邊個 page 噶嘛？咁所以咧呢度就做咗個單向，咁當然唔知單向啦，可以雙向嘅其實啊，咁呢啲就後話啦。OK， 雙向意思就係話你當呢個舉個例啦，呢個 page 第3個畫面完成咗，你 back 之後去翻第2個 page 咧，其實 suppose 咧可以有資料由第3個 screen send 翻去第2個都得㗎嚇。咁不過呢個就唔喺呢度 cover 啦。OK， 得唔得？Basically，in this example, it only provides you one direction communication. The data is simply sent from this second screen to the third one. Actually, the communication can be done in two ways. I mean, two directions. For example, instead of simply from screen 2 to screen 3, actually, the data can also be sent from screen 3 back to screen 2 once the screen 3 is completed or terminated. Okay, but of course, it is not included in this example. Okay, just simply demonstrate to you about one direction communication. Okay, instead of apart from provide you the mechanism of how to apply intent in native Android application, just also would like you to familiarize with the use of the web view. Okay, that is the basic idea or the focus of this tutorial. And then for the interface, I think I already demonstrate with you through the use of the emulator. Okay, then I can simply skip it. 咁 UI 頭先 demo 咗啦，咁我就唔再重複啦。OK， and then it comes to the section of application project structure. Here, just would like to let you know the basic idea about what will be included in the project that we are going to develop. Okay, for example, the program source. In this example, as there are totally 3 screens, therefore we have to create corresponding 3 activity program. Okay, the first one, of course, is the default one. It just represents the splash screen, which is composed of 1 button and 1 text view. Okay, in order to welcome the user. And then the second one is named as input activity.java. Okay, just provide a name that matches with its purpose. Of course, you can define or provide another name. Okay, for your own decision. Simply reasonable is enough. Okay, and then the third one is the web view activity. It just composed of a web view component for displaying the content of a specific website. Okay, that is the 3 Java program that we have to include in the Android Studio project. OK， 嗱咁好簡單，我哋就俾大家有個基本嘅概念先。咁究竟我哋要做啲乜嘢嘅 file 或者 include 啲咩 file 喺我哋嗰個 project 入邊，可以做到頭先嘅嗰個簡單嘅 app 咧，咁樣係嘛？咁有3個 app， 唔係 sorry， 3個 activity program， 咁對應翻個3個畫面啊，好簡單啦，1對1啊，我諗大家應該可以想像到啊，即係一個 splash screen 就係 main 呢一個俾 user 入 URL 嘅就係 input 呢一個，另外 show 個 website 嘅就係 web view activity 呢一個。咁當然呢啲 activity 嘅 program 名除咗呢個 default 之外啦，其他呢2個你都可以改。咁當然 reasonable 啦，我成日都強調所有嘢 reasonable 就可以㗎啦，係嘛？即係合理 即係最簡單解釋得到，望落去，知道係做緊啲乜嘢嘅，咁我諗個名就係有啲咁嘅概念啦，係嘛 ？Input Web View 就係咁簡單啦。OK， and then for the layout resource corresponding to the 3 activity program, of course, we also have provide to the 3 layout resource. Okay, activity main corresponding to the layout of the main activity. Activity input corresponding to the layout of input activity. And then the activity web view corresponding to the web view activity. Okay, you can see that the name of the layout resource simply match with the one in activity program. Okay, the reason behind is that actually this layout resource is generated by the Android Studio automatically after you create an activity program. OK， 咁你會見到其實啲名咧對翻嘅啊，點解咧咁樣？點解咁犀利會對到？因為呢啲 layout 咧 resource 咧，當你 create activity program 嘅時候咧，佢會自己 generate 出嚟俾你，你唔需要自己 extra 去開，得唔得？嗱，好簡單係咪？又係即係個配套佢已經幫你做好。總之你 create 一個 activity program 咧，佢就幫你開一個對應嘅 layout resource 就係咁簡單嚇，咁就唔使煩，即係開，又要開多個咁樣係嘛？唔使開兩次啊，開一次 activity 佢就做晒呢兩個 兩個 file 俾你，咁你就喺入邊執嚇，即係我意思係 manipulate 入邊嗰個內容 ，OK。And then lastly, the manifest file. Why I put it here as in this tutorial, we have to manipulate with it as we are going to access a particular website through the web view. Therefore, we have to declare the corresponding permission in this Android manifest file. Okay. At the end of the tutorial, I will show you about this implementation. Okay, maybe reach the end of this documentation, you can simply be given about the permission that should be included in this application. Okay, Internet。嗱，咁你會見到我喺嗰個嘅 project structure 度咧，都加翻呢個落去，就係因為我哋今次真係要manipulate 呢一個 manifest 啦，咁得。咁就係話我哋而家要 access 個 internet 去即係 display 一個 web page 啦，係咪？咁所以咧，我呢個 permission 嗰度咧都要加翻嗰個 internet 嘅一個component 或者 element 喺我哋嗰個 manifest file 得唔得嚇？咁呢個當然啦，頭先都碌到落去喺最尾嘅嗰個部分咧，咁就會加翻呢一樣嘢落去俾我哋嗰個 manifest file 得唔得嚇？咁當然你一開始加亦都可以嘅，只不過我想交代咗成個基本嘅一個架構先，跟住最後先翻兜翻呢一個嘅 manifest 嘅一個 file。OK？ Actually, you can simply declare the permission first during your development process. But in my point of view, I just would like to illustrate the details of the program or layout resource first. And then I simply put the permission declaration at the end of the illustration. Okay, but I think it is up to your decision. Okay, and then the logic. If you simply follow my demonstration, I think you may already have the idea about the basic logic of this implementation or Android application program. Okay, totally three screen. Therefore, we have three kinds of logic, or totally three programming logic that we have to include in the whole application program. Okay, or application project. Okay, for example, through the interaction between the first screen, you simply click on the button, and then the application will help you to launch another or the second activity program. At the same time, the first screen will be terminated. Okay. Therefore, if you are currently interacting with the second screen, then you can simply click back. You can see that you can see that it will back to the home screen as the splash screen is already queued. Okay, therefore, if you would like to use the application, you can simply click on the application icon and launch it again. Okay, and then click the button back and then proceed to the second screen, and then you simply back. Okay, 呢啲時間因為太慢啦嚇。Okay, and then you can see that the home screen will be resumed again. Okay, that is what I mean here. The splash screen will be queued or terminate once you click on the button. 嗱，咁你會見到呢度有啲特別嘅一個情況就係話，我嗰個 splash screen 正常嚇，咁我 show 一次就夠㗎啦，係咪？我唔需要再 back 翻去再 show 第二次，咁所以咧，當你 launch 完之後咧，咁跟住 click 咗個 button 落去第二個畫面嘅時候咧，咁嗰個 splash screen 基本上就已經完成佢嘅任務，咁就會 terminate 咗㗎啦，得唔得？唔會繼續喺嗰個即係 application 入邊再見得翻嘅。OK。呢個就係關於第一個 screen 嘅嗰個 activity 嘅一個操作。OK， that is the basic idea about the logic of the first activity or first default screen. For the second screen, you simply click on the button and then the URL written by the user will be retrieved and also sent to the third screen. Okay, once the third screen is launched. Okay. For the first screen, it simply receive the URL from the second screen and then display it through the use of the web view. These are the logic for this tutorial example. Okay. I think if you can follow the demonstration, you may already have this idea in your mind. OK， 嗱咁呢個 logic 其實好簡單。咁如果你頭先一路有即係跟進翻我個 demonstration， 了解呢個基本嘅一個操作嘅時候咧，咁呢啲 logic 咧，咁基本上就我諗大家都想像到嚇，就唔會話誒究竟做緊啲乜嘢咧？咁應該都可以跟得到嘅。OK， OK， I think I just already provide you the basic idea about what we are going to do in this tutorial. Okay, simply use the web view and intent in order to build up this tutorial example. Okay, after that, we can come to the second stage of the tutorial section is the implementation stage. Okay. 嗱，咁我哋頭先即係用咗少少時間啦，去簡介翻或者俾少少概念大家關於我哋呢一個嘅 tutorial， 佢嗰個目的，想大家即係可以了解、接觸到、知道要做嘅一啲東西啦，嚇。咁跟住落嚟咧，咁我哋咧就可以係去到第二個階段，咁就睇下，喂點樣可以完成到呢一個嘅即係好簡單嘅一個 tutorial 啦。OK。Firstly, we can back to the Android Studio. Okay. And then we expand those components. The manifest file, the activity program, and then the layout of the default or first activity program is already here. Okay. Firstly, we simply manipulate with the layout of the first screen. And also, just would like to illustrate the development process to you. Therefore, I simply provide the code here. Okay. Of course, if you would like to test your capability, you can simply write it on your own. Okay. 嗱，咁都係啦，我想成個過程都交代一次俾大家知，咁我又懶得打曲係嘛，咁所以咧，咁我啲嘢都擺晒喺度 copy and paste，跟住做啲 illustration 俾大家睇。咁當然你可以自己去試下睇下做唔做到嘅，嚇。咁呢啲就係即係你自己嘅一個考慮嚇。咁我就唔逐隻字打啦，如果逐隻字打咧，打到天光都打唔完嚇。OK，in this layout, it simply consists of two components, text view and button。呢個唔緊要啊。OK，as you can see that those components are arranged at the center of the layout. Therefore, we set up the gravity attribute within the linear layout. Okay. This gravity attribute simply specify the alignment of the child component that locate within this layout itself. OK， 嗱，咁我哋想即係arrange 翻啲 child 嘅 component 擺喺個 container 嘅邊一個，或者 align 翻喺個 container 嘅邊一個位咧，我哋會用呢個叫做一個 gravity 嘅 component 嘅，得唔得 ？OK，gravity 等於 center， 即係佢入邊嘅嘢會擺喺自己中間嚇。咁係好多 attribute 㗎，咁都知道下啦嚇。OK。咁當然我又唔會用太多嘅，咁嚟嚟去多幾種嘅啫嚇。咁當然有其他啦，我意思係好多嘅意思係，咁但係我就唔會話即係喺入邊用好多咁嚇，咁用啲比較 common 啲俾大家睇下。OK， I think it is tutorial 3. I may not require to illustrate details of these two elements. OK。咁我諗都介紹咗2個禮拜啦，關於 text view 同 button， 咁我諗都唔需要再多介紹啦嚇。有冇咩特別嘅 attribute 喺度？咁我就 skip 㗎啦。OK， that is the idea of this first screen layout design. OK， simply provide two components, text view, button. OK， and then we can move on to discuss the implementation of the splash screen. As usual, those UI component that's used within the activity are always declared as attribute to simplify the access of these UI element. OK， 嗱，都係嗰個 approach 啦，即係有要用嘅一啲 UI component 就以一個 attribute 嘅形式出現。即係唔好諗太多啦，即係當然有好多其他方法嘅，但係咧，即係呢個係比較大路啲嘅嚇。咁等大家有個基本嘅概念先，即係起碼都知道個成個即係過程啦。咁即係嗰啲 UI 點樣 handle 係嘛？咁我哋一般都係擺翻喺嗰個 attribute 嗰度，咁方便我唔同嘅 function 都可以攞到嚟用係嘛？咁當然即係有時一啲簡單啲嘅，你可以將嗰個button 嘅 declaration 擺翻落個 function 入邊嘅。不過咧，即係我就費事俾太多版本大家，即係點解有時又咁樣，有時又呢個另一個版本咁樣係嘛？費事搞得太亂啦。咁所以咧，即係都 follow 翻一個即係 consistent 啲嘅一個 approach 啦。咁將你要用嘅 UI 啦 declare as 一個 attribute。OK。Just like to provide a consistent implementation approach to you. Okay, always declare the used UI component as an attribute. Okay, in this example, actually, the button is simply, for example, used by the user for a single purpose. Therefore, basically, it can be put within the onCreate, okay, instead of an attribute approach. But as I mentioned, just would like to simplify the implementation approach. Therefore, one of the most commonly used approach is put the UI as an attribute within a class. Okay. After that, just complete the interaction and events handling. Of course, you should initialize the UI component first. Therefore, we can summarize that once we have any UI that should be interacted by the user, and in your program, it should support event handling. Then what you have to do first, declare the component in your class as an attribute. Secondly, create and initialize the UI attribute by using the find view by ID. Okay, and lastly, complete the event handler. OK， 嗱咁嗰幾樣嘢啦，係嘛？即係亦都係啦，三部曲嚇，加個 attribute， 即係你要support interaction 有 event handling 嘅嗰啲 UI 啊，我意思係先將佢以一個 attribute 嘅形式加落去個 class 嗰度，跟住 find view by ID 撈翻佢翻嚟 ，initialize 咗佢先至用得係嘛？即係我成日強調 initialize 噶嘛，即係譬如你學 Java， 你啲 object 都要 initialize 咗先用得啦，係嘛？咁要咪 low pointer exception 係咪好簡單嘅一個道理？跟住 event handling。OK， 咁當然上個禮拜嘅 tutorial 講咗個 event handler 俾大家知啦，係咪？嚇 ，OK， 三樣嘢，所以當你要做個Android application， 你啲 UI 要參與其中嘅，咁記住呢三個 step 啦，OK， 加 attribute、find view by ID、event handler。當然 event handler 入邊都有包含咗幾樣嘢啦，係咪？咁呢個就即係呢個就係你可以咁講啊，下一個 step 啦。咁呢個 step 就上個禮拜有交代過 ，OK。嗱，咁我都係啦咁呢度就用翻上個禮拜 document 入邊俾你個 approach 啦，咁都係可以好似上個禮拜嗰個 tutorial 咁擺翻晒啲嘢，拆翻散去 implements 個 listener 啊，跟住加個 function 叫做 on click 啊，咁跟住咧就再set on click listener this 啊，咁都係一樣可以噶OK。This version is simply same as the one provided in the last tutorial. Okay, you can still use the one that I demonstrated during the tutorial section. That means you can still implement the corresponding listener corresponding to the main activity program and implement the on-click function here, and also set on-click listener by using the this object reference. Okay, just the same as the, this one. Okay. Since another approach is already demonstrated, therefore, in this tutorial, I simply focus on the main idea that's corresponding to the one stated at the beginning of the document. OK， 咁當然即係我就唔再改咁跟翻呢度去解説翻一啲即係我想講嘅一啲事情俾大家知先啦OK， this on-click function simply provides three statements. The first one is the create of the intent object. Once again, the idea about intent is going to help you to launch a new activity program. Okay, how you can achieve it? Okay, firstly, provide the context object of this activity program. Okay, context, I think I already illustrated the idea during the lecture time. Okay, it is always be used in your application development. Okay, but implicitly used Okay, and then this first parameter is the activity context. It provides the information of this activity program. The second arguments that provide to this new intent statement is the class that you are going to launch. That means the second screen activity program will be put as the second argument to this new statement. Of course, we are not create this activity program yet. Therefore, you can see there is an error reported here. Okay, since the second screen activity program is not yet created. Okay, but we will create it in the next step. Okay, therefore, no worry about this problem. 嗱，咁我哋即係好簡單咁了解一下點樣做個 intent 啦。兩個 input 嘅啫，當然就唔止呢個 approach 嘅嚇，只不過即係我哋用一個比較簡單啲嚇嘅一個implementation 俾大家去接觸下呢樣嘢。咁intent new 嘅時候咧，俾兩個 input 佢。第一個就係而家呢個 activity 嘅 context。OK， 咁即係 this 啦嚇。OK。咁class 名 main activity 嘅 this 咁就 OK 啦，呢個好簡單啦。跟住第二個亦都好簡單啫，你想 launch 嘅嗰個 activity program 叫 input。舉例啊，即係譬如我跟翻 documentation 叫 input activity， 咁就 input activity 到 class。咁當然啦，而家未做啦，所以佢就有個 error 喺度啫。咁你做翻嗰個 activity program 就冇事噶啦，得唔得 ？OK。That is how we create and initialize an intent object that's going to be used for launching another activity program. Okay, that is the first statement we have to put within this onClick function. And after that, once the intent is correct, then we can launch the corresponding second screen. How we can achieve it? We can simply call a function start activity. 跟住落嚟就好簡單啦 ，call 個 function， 咁佢就做到噶啦嚇。Start activity and then provide the intent object to it. Okay. Therefore, the launching of a new activity program in Android application development process is simply consists of two statements. Okay. Of course, these kinds of implementation, it do not provide any data communication sense from this one to the second one. Okay, simply launch a new activity program. Two statement is enough. 嗱，咁兩句就做到㗎啦嚇，咁你見到好簡單，冇咩特別嘢嚇。咁總之 create 個 intent， 跟住 start 咗佢，咁嗰個 activity 就會彈出嚟㗎啦。OK， as mentioned at the beginning, once the second screen is launched, and then the spread screen is no longer be used, therefore we can terminate it. Okay, how we can do this? We can simply call the finish function. Then this activity program will be queued. Okay, that means if there is any activity that you will not be used, okay, anymore, then you can queue it by using this finish method. 嗱，咁頭先都講啦 ，activity program 入邊呢個 splash screen 啊，咁基本上過咗去就唔會再見得翻佢啦，嚇，唔需要再睇翻個開場畫面啦，係嘛？所以咧，我哋 Q 咗佢 finish 就得噶啦，都係一個 function call 啫，係嘛 ？finish 就會幫你 Q 咗呢個 program， 即係呢個 activity 喺呢個 system 入邊就唔會存在啦，嚇。咁啊，淨係得翻第二個畫面嘅一個 activity program 啦。OK。That is how we construct the default or splash screen in this application. Then it comes to another activity program, that is the input activity.java. Firstly, how to create a new activity program. We can click on the file menu, new, and then comes to the lower parts of the new page. Okay, there is an activity over there. Okay, and then highlight it. You can see there are a number of the activity that you can create. Okay, these kinds of activity you may already come across with them. For example, during the creation of project, okay, you may see this activity. Okay, of course, we are now going to create a new empty activity. Therefore, we can select this option. OK， 嗱點樣開一個新嘅 activity program 咧？咁樣喺個 new 嗰度啦，跟住碌落下邊啦，咁有 activity 噶啦已經，好多嘢揀啦，當然係嘛？咁我哋就揀 activity 啦。跟住咧，佢就會彈多一個即係框框出嚟，咁就係有好多唔同種類嘅 activity 都可以揀。嗱，咁呢度咧，我諗大家 create project 嘅時候都見過類似啦，係嘛？啲 template 嚟嘅其實 activity 嘅 template。OK， 咁我哋揀個 empty 就好易啦，又係一切從 empty 開始。OK， 因為我哋啲曲都已經有啦嘛，咁又就咁 create 完就擺啲曲落去，咁我可以做到嘢啦，得唔得？咁透過呢個方法，咁佢會幫你做埋個default 嘅 layout 添嘅。OK， through this activity file creation, the layout will be generated for you automatically. Okay, and then I click on this empty activity item and then provide the name to it. For example, follow the naming convention in the documentation. I simply name it as input activity. You can see that generates data file. Default, it is enabled. Okay, and then the layout name is activity input. As it is the second one, it is not the launcher activity. OK， 嗱，咁呢度你要見到我 tick 即係當然我呢個 version 即係我就即係唔係好記得究竟最新嘅版本係咪呢個樣不過都應該唔差太遠啦。OK，it is the config activity dialog in my computer for this Android Studio version 3 point something. Okay, I'm not sure or I cannot remember whether it is just the same as the latest one. Okay, but anyway, I think if even it is not the same, it is quite close between these two versions. Okay, and then we can finish it. After we finish the creation of a new activity program, you can see that within the Java component, this activity program is already here. And once we get into the resource folder, you can see that under the layout resource, the activity input is also provided to you. OK， 嗱，咁你會見到一 gen 咧，個 Java 同個 layout 都俾咗你啦，得唔得 ？OK。Maybe show you another information regarding to the manifest file. The newly created activity program is also declared within the manifest file. Okay, it is also done by the Android Studio IDE. Okay, that is what the Android Studio project need to be included once there is an extra activity program created. 嗱，咁記得啦雖然佢 gen 咗俾你咧，我都即係希望大家有個概念，就係你要用嗰啲 activity program 咧 ，suppose 要喺個 manifest file 要 declare 噶咁當然啦，你 create activity 嘅時候，佢會自動幫你加落去啦，係咪？同個 layout 一樣layout 佢 gen 到俾你，咁而呢一個 activity 嘅 elements 佢都會幫你加埋落去，係嘛？OK， 咁當然佢又冇咩特別 role 咁嗰啲咁所以就咁就擺低就完成。OK， 得唔得如果你冇呢個咧 ，launch 唔到噶。 一撳一 launch 就死 app 噶啦。Basically, if you do not include this activity, the application regarding to this activity program cannot be launched. Okay, once it's launched, and then the app will be queued or terminate since there is an error set regarding to the activity usage. Okay, therefore, it is important to understand why we have these elements here. And then the layout, once again, I simply copy and paste to it. Okay, as during demonstration, you can see that there are totally 3 UI components will be used in this input activity program. Text view, provide a message, input URL. Okay, and then second one is the edit text. Allows the user to input URL to it. Okay. The third one is the button. Once the button is clicked, then the third page or screen or activity program will be launched. Okay. 呢度我都唔需要再特別多介紹啦。3樣嘢擺晒喺度。OK， 咁就完啦。因為都介紹咗好多次啦我哋叫推進。And then it comes to the implementation about the activity program regarding to the second screen. That means the input activity.java. Follow with the implementation procedure. First, declare the UI that's going to be used in this application program. In this activity program, 2 UI components that are going to be accessed. The first one is the edit text, and the second one is the button. The edit text UI is required as we have to get the URL from the user. OK， 咁呢度咧我哋要包含住有2個 UI 要用㗎咁第一個就 edit text 啦，因為我哋要攞翻個 URL 嘛。第二個撳掣啦，因為我哋要撳完掣帶落下一版，係嘛？Just forgot one thing. Maybe I complete it after complete the following implementation programming statement. 咁陣間再補充翻少少嘢喺呢度，可能個 document 漏咗少少。OK， 好。And then the second step, initialize those UI object by using find view by ID. OK， 咁都做咗幾次啦，咁我諗大家都應該開始熟習嗰個模式啦，係嘛？不過未都唔緊要嘅，係嘛？即係再俾啲時間啦Find view by ID. These 2 ID is defined within the corresponding UI elements. Okay, ID, URL edit text, URL button. 係除咗呢2個。OK， 咁我哋就喺度揾翻佢翻嚟，嘛？And then lastly, complete the events handling. Okay. After I simply copy and paste the code in this program, you can see that there are 2 errors reported here. The first one, of course, is about the third activity program. Of course, at this time, I still not yet created. Therefore, it will be highlight, and it is expected. Okay, actually, this problem is quite similar to the one happened in the development of the first or default main activity program. 嗱，咁paste 咗之後咧，有2個問題。第一個問題就係關於嗰個web view activity class， 我都係未 define 嘅，係嘛？咁所以咧，同樣地，好似我哋做 main activity 嘅時候， 都會出現翻呢一個情況。咁呢個情況喺我完成咗第3個 activity 嘅時候咧，咁佢就會出現咁佢就會解決㗎啦，得唔得 ？OK， 咁所以呢個咧就唔需要擔心啊，同頭先main activity program create intent 嘅時候個過程係差唔多啦。But there is other problems here. I use one string variable, but it is not yet defined. Okay, and I simply forgot to include in this document. Therefore, I complete it here. Okay. 咁呢度咧，我先交代咗呢個係咩嚟先。呢個係一個 string variable 嚟嘅 suppose。OK。咁我就即係喺寫個 document 嘅時候，咁我可能即係漏咗呢個 declaration 啦，係咪即係咁喺第一年 run 啦，咁有少少甩漏，咁即係冇乜辦法盡量減少OK， 咁下年可能會好啲噶啦。不過即係希望下年唔好再見到你啦，係咪 ？OK， 咁我就喺呢度再加翻呢樣嘢落去俾佢啦。As I just mentioned that this extra message is simply a string variable. Therefore, I just put it here. And I simply miss it in the documentation. Okay. String 我用翻呢個名算啦。大街冇寫好耐 program 好明顯啦。Okay. I simply declare this string in this application program. I simply use the same name as the value of this message. As actually, you can simply provide any value to it, as this so-called extra message string is used as a key in order to store a corresponding value to the intent, and then it can be retrieved in the third activity program. Okay, that's why I simply put the value assigned to this string. OK， 嗱，咁我先喺度講咗呢條 string 咧，你俾咩 value 落去俾佢都冇乜所謂嘅，因為咧佢都係當一條 key 咁樣用去 save message 同埋去攞 message 嘅啫，得唔得咁所以咧，你俾 A、B、C、D、F、X、Y、Z 任何 string content 落去都冇所謂嘅。咁呢個大家即係可以知道嘅第一件事啦。咁第二件事咧 static 啦，係嘛？咁因為呢條 string 咧就唔需要跟 object 㗎。咁一個 value share 俾唔同人用嘅啫。即係我意思係 share 俾第三個 screen 都要用嘅。咁所以咧 static 咗佢。The second issue is that we should define this string as a static string variable, as this string value should be used and shared to the third activity program. Therefore, I declare it as a static string variable. Okay. Later on, once we create and implement the web view activity, I mean the third activity program, you will see that this message will also be used in order to help you to get the URL provided by the user and send from this activity program. OK， 嗱，咁我哋陣間寫第3個 program 嘅時候啦，個 web view activity 啦，都會用翻呢一條 string 嘅，咁所以咧就 static share 咗佢，方便我陣間用。OK， 咁再重申一次啦，呢條 string 咧係當一個 key 咩叫 key key value pair 嘅嗰個 key， 即係希望大家有啲印象啦如果學過 data structure。OK， 咁我哋啲 data 喺呢一個 example 入邊咧，就會透過一個叫 key value pair 咁去 save 同埋retrieve 嘅。OK， 咁呢個 string 嘅一個 variable 咧，就會係一個 key。咁所以咧，我哋 save data 嘅時候咧，就會用呢條 key save 個 data。跟住我哋喺下一個版面，即係下一個 screen web view activity 咧，就會用翻同樣呢條 key 咧，去攞翻嗰個 store 嘅 data 出翻嚟嘅，得唔得？咁呢個我哋叫 key pair value，就係儲 data 嘅時候嘅其中一個 approach。OK，map 啦，即係講到尾，即係 map 嚇。即係如果你讀過203，應該係咪唔知2022、2023啦已經啊，咁就應該有呢個概念啦。即係嚇咩 set 啊嗰啲 list 啊嘛嚇 map 啊咁嗰啲啦係嘛嚇。OK， 咁我哋今次會用 map 嘅概念形式去儲 data。OK，maybe I repeat it again. This string is considered as a key in data storing through the use of intent. That means the mechanism used in storing data to an intent object is map. For using map, key value pair should be involved. That means you should provide a key and a value to this intent in order to specify the data that you are going to store. Once you store it by using key value pair, if you would like to get it, for example, in the third screen or the web view activity, you should provide the key and then the corresponding value will be given to you. Okay, therefore, the key used in this example is this string variable or this string value. Okay, key value pair, which is the idea about map. Map is just one kind of data structure to help you store data. If you already taken the course COMPAS, I forgot 202 or 203F, I think you may already heard this term. Okay, but anyway, if you forgot it, just simply use it. Okay, I mean if you forgot what is map or the concept, okay, you simply apply the techniques here. Okay, and no worry about don't have idea what is map. 唔記得 map 都唔緊要啊，我哋照用嘅啫嚇。即係喺呢個 course 入邊，我哋唔會問你咩叫 map 係嘛？咁你識得用就得㗎啦。OK， 咁跟住落嚟就講下點樣用咯。OK， and then in the following I just would like to tell you how to store data to an intent object so that it can be sent to the newly launched screen. Okay, of course, at the beginning, we have to get it from the edit text UI. Okay, this statement, I think you may already have an experience if you attend or watch the video about tutorial 2. Okay, the edit text UI object get text to string, then the corresponding user input will be retrieved from the screen or the UI. After that, you can use the put extra method associated with the intent object. This method helps you to store data to this intent object. Okay. About the storing data, it composed of 2 inputs. The first one is the key, as I mentioned for a number of times. And then the second one is the value. That is what we call key value pairs. Okay. 嗱，咁成個過程好簡單嘅啫，我講咗咁耐係嘛？其實你俾兩嘢佢，佢咪就收咯，係咪？即係接收我意思係嚇。OK， 咁啊 put extra，咁 寫一個 function 俾你儲 data 嘅。咁每一個 data 都會以一個 key value 嘅 pair 嘅形式 ，pair 嘅意思即係兩樣都要啦嚇。咁第一個就係 key，OK， 一條 string 嚟嘅啫。咁當然呢條 string 要 unique 啦。咁如果你有幾個 data 嘅話，係嘛？咁一個就冇所謂啦。所以係嘛？即係譬如你有3幾個 data 咁你每一條 key 都要 unique 係嘛？咁咪照對 key 嘅啫，對啱條 key 咪俾翻個 value 你咯，好簡單係嘛 ？OK， 咁第二個就係 value 啦 ，value 就係嗰個 URL。咁當然一開始嘅時候你要用個 UI access 個 UI 攞翻個 user input 翻嚟先啦，大佬。跟住就擺落去，係嘛？即係我講咗咁鬼耐，其實塞晒啲嘢落個 put extra 就完㗎啦，係嘛 ？OK， 有 map 啊，有成啊，咁樣係嘛？講到好似好鬼複雜咁。咁其實就兩樣嘢 ，key value 完 ，OK。After this statement has been completed, the data, I mean the key value pair, will be stored within the intent. And then, same as before, call the start activity function, and then put the intent to this function. This intent object will be sent to the newly launched activity program. OK， 咁呢個頭先冇講啊。咁我哋塞咗個 intent 落去個 new activity 嘅時候咧，咁其實呢個 intent 咧會 send 落下一個 activity 嗰度，係嘛？即係頭先我就冇講，因為頭先我唔用啊嘛，係嘛？即係 screen one 開 screen two 嘅時候咧，我就冇交代點解懟個 intent 落去啊，咁樣係嘛？咁而家交代埋啦，咁就係話呢個 intent 咧 suppose 會 pass 俾下一個嘅 activity 嘅。咁所以咧，你啲 data save 咗你 intent 咧，咁下一個 activity 留翻呢個 intent 咧，就揾得翻個 data 啦，係嘛？咁呢個好自然嘅一個效果啦。OK， as I mentioned that this intent object will be passed to the third screen. Okay, therefore the third screen can get this intent object, and within this intent object, the data can be found and retrieved. Okay, that is the mechanism behind why the third screen can get the data URL string, as this data is stored in the intent and the intent is sent to the third screen. Okay. That is how we complete the input activity program. Okay, lastly, we create the third one. Follow the same approach, new file, new activity, and then empty activity. OK， 咁我哋去到第三個啦嚇，最後啦，咁都係啦，開一個新嘅 activity program， 好似之前咁樣嚇。OK，file new activity empty activity， 跟住撳落去，俾個名佢啦，係咪？咁config by default 就得㗎啦。OK，same as previously, we do not have to explicitly change the config of the web view activity program. Just keep the default setting and then click finish button. Okay. Same as before, the activity program layout is created for you, and also the activity web view activity is also include or add to the Enjoy manifest file. Okay. And then we can change the content of the layout resource first. You can see that in this example, or in this third screen, it only composed of a web view. Okay, and then the web view width and height is same as the parent. Okay, that's it. Okay， 咁我哋就淨係擺個 web view 啫。咁因為而家個 web view 會用晒成個即係畫面即係可用嘅空間去 display 個 page 咯。咁所以你見到好簡單就霸晒佢就係啦。Match parent。OK。 few parent 都得，不過就即係遠古啲啦，嗰個 value 就嚇。咁而家通常就 match parents 咯。OK。And then 曬咁啲嘢先，呢啲唔要住啦。呢個。After we complete the web view component that's declared within the layout of the third screen, then we can change the code or modify the code accordingly. Okay, as we are going to use the web view to display a particular website, therefore, the web view UI component should be the one declared as the attribute within this activity program. Okay, and also it is just one the only one UI exists in the layout. OK， 咁當然我哋要攞翻個 web view 翻嚟啦，係嘛？咁跟住我哋就可以 load 個 page 啦嘛，係咪？咁所以就係啦，一個 attribute 形式出現啦。OK， 冇難度啦，係咪呢啲？跟住咧就再落去啦 ，find view by ID 啦。And then a second step is find view by ID. Just retrieve or get the web view elements from the layout design or layout resource. And then followed with these two. Okay. It comes to the data retrieval. That means through the previous implementation, I mean the second screen implementation, the URL string is stored in the intent object, and the intent object is sent to the third screen through the use of start activity program. Therefore, first we should get the intent object by using this get intent function. OK， 嗱，咁我哋跟住落嚟介紹啦。喂，點樣撈翻嗰個 data 翻嚟啊？咁樣，咁都不厭其煩，講咗好多次啦。個 data 就 save 咗落去個 intent 就 send 咗過嚟呢一個 page。呢個 page 咁我哋咪攞翻個 intent， 咪再攞個 data 咪就是咯，係咪？嗱，點樣攞個 intent 咧 ？get 就係啦。OK， 全部所有嘢都係 call function， 你見到係咪好簡單啊？冇乜難度。And then after the intent is obtained, then we can use get method. For example, get string extra. Okay, that means we are going to get the extra data from the intent in string type. And then how we get it? Through the use of the key. The key is a string variable extra message, which declare within the input activity program. Okay, therefore, we should use it with the class name. Okay, as it is a static value, therefore we simply use the class name. Then we can access the static string defined in the input activity program. OK， 嗱，咁呢度咧，即係都唔難理解嘅，我相信。咁我哋有咗個 intent 啦，係嘛？咪攞嘢咯，喺入邊攞嘢點攞啊 ？Get 啦，係嘛 ？Get extra in string type， 咁就 get string in extra， 跟住用個 key 去攞翻。呢個就係 key value 嘅嗰個概念。我用 key value 儲咗，我俾個 key 佢，佢就可以俾翻個 value 我，就係咁簡單，係嘛？咁呢條 string 當然係配合翻我哋之前嗰個 program 啦 ，static 嘅 string， 所以咧 class name 嘅點就用到噶啦。OK， 唔難理解啦，呢啲嘢係咪 ？OK，and then 有咗呢個once we got to the URL, we can then manipulate with the web view. Firstly, enable the JavaScript. Okay. That means the JavaScript can be executed within the web view once you enable it. Okay, set JavaScript enable true. And then what this statement means, it means that once you would like to display a web page and within the site, and if you click any link, it will also remain within the web view for display a new linked web page. Then we should provide this implementation. Okay, that means if you follow the URL, open a specific website within this web view, then the website may contain other link. If you click on any other link to access a new website, basically it may open a browser for this scenario. If you would like to use the web view again to view a new web page, then you should provide this implementation. 嗱，呢度咧交代一下呢句嘢係有咩嘅作用嚇，就係話正常嘅情況之下，咁你當然用嗰個 web view 開 user input 嘅嗰個 URL 嘅 website 啦，係咪？咁呢個就應該不用置疑啦，係嘛？但係當你瀏覽呢個 website 嘅同時，可能有其他 link 俾你去 click 去 access 其他唔同嘅 page 嘅。咁當你 click 嗰啲 link 嘅時候咧，咁有機會佢會開個 browser 去睇你啲新嘅一啲 website 或者 link。咁而你當然唔想又開個 browser， 我都係想喺翻個 app 入邊去 access 唔同嘅地方。咁咧，我哋咧就要咁樣寫啦。咁咧寫完之後咧，咁你就可以喺個 web view 入邊 access 唔同嘅一啲 link 啊、page 啊，唔會彈個 browser 出嚟。OK， 就係咁簡單啦。嚇，load URL 我都唔需要介紹啦，我諗係嘛？因為下邊都會用。OK， and then after this setup, lastly, load the specific or particular web page that's specified by the user. Okay, webview.load URL, that is the URL that's provided by the user, which is obtained through the use of intent and extra. 咁最後啦，咁我哋就透過 webview load 翻 user 嘅嗰個 URL。咁呢一個 input 咧就係透過 intent、透過 get extra 撈翻嚟嘅，得唔得？嚇，咁當然你擺翻落去都得啦。嚇 ，anyway。That is how we complete this program. OK， 攞 URL set up 翻個 web view and enable 個JavaScript， 跟住 set 翻個web view client， 咁就佢會 within 嗰個 web view 度開唔同嘅一啲 link 啦，可以唔會彈個 browser 出嚟。And then lastly, what we have to do in order to complete the whole Android application development is to provide the permission element within the Android manifest file. Okay, the name of the permission is internet. Okay. After this moment, I think the whole development of this native Android application is already done for you. Okay. Through this tutorial 3, once again, just would like to highlight some implementation techniques to you. The first one is about the use of intent. Through the first screen, you can see that first screen is the main activity. Okay, the default one. We simply use two statements and then we can open or create a new activity program. And then through the use of the finish, the currently used activity program can be terminated. For this implementation, we do not include any data communication. We simply launch another activity. OK， 嗱，咁呢度咧，即係我總結翻我即係想俾大家知道嘅事情啦嚇。咁啊，第一件事就係 intent。咁 intent 咧，最基本喺個 splash screen 入邊用嘅時候得兩句嘅啫。咁就冇資料嘅傳送嘅，就咁開咗個 intent， 跟住用嚟開個新嘅 activity program。雖然佢個 intent 都會 send 落去第二個畫面嗰度，但係你見到佢冇資料 save 得儲低啊，咁就咁彈過去，佢就唔用啊，即係唔會用到呢個 intent。雖然佢有 send 過去啊 ，OK。咁跟住亦都想俾大家知道，咁我要 terminate 呢個 activity program， 咁點啊 ？call 個 finish 就可以㗎啦，得唔得？咁啊，透過第二個。Through the use of the second screen, I also demonstrate how to store data to the intent and performing one direction data communication between two activity program. OK， 咁透過第二個 activity program 啦，咁就再交代多一次個 intent 嘅用法，兼且 show 埋俾大家睇點樣可以儲個資料落個 intent 嗰度，得唔得 ？OK。咁跟住個 intent 一如以往咁樣 send 翻落去下一個activity program 啦。咁跟住最後嗰個 program 就係想講點樣攞翻個 data。OK， 先攞個 intent 再攞個 data 就係啦。咁個概念其實唔複雜嘅，當然你寫落去都係幾句啦，係嘛？咁但係都希望大家知道可以點樣用。OK，in the third screen, if it would like to retrieve the data.Simply two statements. Firstly, get the intent object. Secondly, get the data from the intent object. Okay, you can see that the concept and the implementation is not quite difficult. Okay, the intent is you can consider is the interface component between two activity programs. Okay.It can help you to launch another activity program, and also it can help you to store data that can be sent from one activity program to another. That is one of the idea or techniques that I would like to introduce through this tutorial. And the second one is about the WebView UI component. Okay, here.Just would like to demonstrate about how to display a specific web page through this UI web view. Okay, by using the set JavaScript enable, you can enable the JavaScript in the page displayed within this web view. And then secondly, you should write or you can use the web view client in order to make sure the page is open and display within this web view without the requirement of opening a browser to view the page. And lastly, load URL. Okay, just simply display a particular web page with this web view object. 咁第二樣嘢就係個 web view 嘅用法啊，咁都交代得好清楚噶啦，幾樣嘢喺度見到晒啦。enable 個 JavaScript 啦，咁啊 keep 翻啲 page 喺個 web view 入邊 display， 唔需要開 browser 啦，跟住 load 佢咯，就係咁簡單啦，得唔得 ？Okay, that is what I would like to share with you by using this tutorial demonstration. Okay, hope that you can understand about the basic idea and the corresponding implementation. As the logic once again is not quite difficult to follow. Okay, simply would like to provide you an idea about those commonly used components in creating a native Android application program. OK， 咁你見到啲 logic 都唔複雜嘅，咁純粹都係希望，因為即係可能即係當大家第一次接觸，咁就即係希望大家可以有啲嘅概念，咁一啲比較常用到嘅一啲 component 啦， 咁我都希望大家可以知道點樣用啊，背後少少嘅理念啊，咁樣嚇。OK，咁我就唔會搞到啲 logic 喺有呢樣嗰樣咁樣咁啊，即係希望大家容易去理解當中嗰個component 啦嘅運作。OK，唔得。I think at this moment the tutorial demonstration is already completed. And if you have any problems or queries regarding to the, for example, material and the example, you can let me know through the chat room as there are some time left. Okay. Otherwise, you can simply or leave or the meeting or prepare the lesson that you may have to attend today or afterwards. OK， 嗱，咁我要交代嘅，咁基本上都完咗㗎啦。咁如果你有啲咩問題嘅，可以仲我哋要再時間喺個 chat room 嗰度可以了解下。咁如果冇咩特別嘅，咁你可以譬如準備下一堂嘅嘢啊，或者即係離開呢個 chat room，即係休息下咁都仲得嚇。OK，as usual, the video recording will be provided to you 1 or 2 days later. Okay, therefore you can review if you think it is important. Okay, or if you need. OK， video 嘅都會喺嚟緊呢1-2日會 post 翻上去 OLE， 咁到時你哋可以再睇一睇。如果你覺得有需要或者係即係你可能想再了解清楚啲嘅，得唔得 ？OK。And then once again, thank you for spend time to attend this tutorial section. Okay.